Like, the presumed to be boys never got the anatomy class about AFAB bodies, and the presumed to be girls never got the anatomy class about AMAB bodies. Of course, typically women are far more aware of the anatomy of men than men are about the anatomy of women. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to recover from just never having that education myself.
One of the little topics that we want to kind of touch on a little bit today is, the intersection between sex education and the education system. So, well, I want to start by exploring what your experience has been with the education system. Maybe starting by asking you what's something that you wish you had learned at school when it comes to sex education, relationships, and emotions. Because, well, it's important to mention that, we know now that sex education is not only about anatomy, right? So like part of learning how to have right relationships is also part of sex ed. So what's something you wish you had learned at school when it comes to sex ed?
Yeah, it's a great question. I myself have definitely had more experience in the education system as a whole than I have had with sex education. My experience with sex education is entirely limited to my own sex education that I received as a student. And I can talk about those things as well. But yeah, the thing that I really wish I learned in sex education, broadly speaking, how the patriarchy shows up in our intimate relationship. What are the implications of that, and what do I do about that? And there are a lot of things that come from that, including in my sex education that I received, which started in 5th grade, and where sex education starts is a whole other thing. But for me, it started in 5th grade, and they divided the, presumed to be boys and the presumed to be girls. And they basically gave us an anatomy lesson, which is very valuable. I think that's important to know. And that's so limited and narrow. And also, I think we can talk about the merits of dividing the presumed to be boys and the presumed to be girls as one thing, but also the presumed to be boys never got the anatomy class about AFAB bodies, and the presumed to be girls never got the anatomy class about the AMAB bodies. Of course, typically, women are far more aware of the anatomy of men than men are about the anatomy of women. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to recover from just never having that education myself. So that's just that level. But then I think bigger than that is, exploring my own relationship to gender, my own relationship to sexuality, and those things. And then past my own relationship to those things with myself, there's, okay, now I'm in a relationship with someone else. I'm a white man, and I'm attracted. I would identify as hetero-flexible. So most of the people that I'm going to be with are going to be women or AFAB folk. And okay, now there's a power differential. And what does that mean for my relationships? How do I honor the conversations that happen while there's a power differential? If I could pick one really important lesson on that front, then I would say the thing that I wish that I learned in sex ed is the fulfillment that I get, that I can also offer, that the mutual fulfillment that I get in relationship with someone when I actively, not just wait to be told, but actively support their boundaries, the boundaries of my partner, ask what those are, and want to learn what they are, and I'm excited to honor them. And the practice that gives me in being sensitive to when I might be encroaching on someone's boundary. I wish I had that, because I have, I've lived entirely too long without that practice, and as a result, not as sensitive to other people's boundaries as I would love to be if I had a lifetime of practice behind me. And that means I have fucked up, and I hate that, and I have a lot of feelings about that. But that is the most fundamental thing for me on a personal level of what I wish I learned in sex ed. And I think that's something that's especially important in general for most cis men and boys, and to be exploring, to be taught and practice.